Mr. Speaker, will you please call the House to order?
The House will come to order. We will open our session today with two prayers. The first prayer will be by Pastor Naomi Tyler Lloyd of Trinity Baptist Church in the Bronx, to be followed by Rabbi Matthew Cutler of Congregation Gates of Heaven in Schenectady.
Let us pray. O Sovereign One of the universe, righteous and just God, creator of all things created, we thank you for the gift of this new day. We acknowledge it as an engagement of your grace, and we offer our gratitude for your goodness and your mercy towards us. Holy One, we seek you now in this new year as we endeavor to be faithful to the call and the charge that has been entrusted to us. May your spirit of wisdom and revelation engage the psyches and spirits of these public servants as they are challenged with agendas and decisions that are to impact the living of these days. Remind them of their privilege and responsibility so that they seek to serve with integrity. May your shalom permeate the atmosphere as well as the inner sphere of their hearts, so that even in moments of debate and disagreement, the common goal of faithful service to humanity is not interrupted by toxic and harmful words and deeds. May your spirit lead them to still waters and green pastures in the midst of a hectic, distracting, and disturbing world. Order their steps as you assist their endeavors to seek and submit to your perfect and divine will and way. Bless the speaker, O God, as he leads this body. Envelop him in your character, that he may lead with humility and integrity. Bless the entire assembly as they work together. Bless their regions, their districts, their communities, and their households as they strive to participate in making this world a better place. Bless the work they offer this day, and may you be blessed by method and means of their offering. These things we ask and entrust to you and to your perfect and divine will as we pray in your great and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Rabbi, thank you so much, Speaker. Makor Chaim, O source of life, it is to you who we focus our attention and our praise. Those gathered in this sacred assembly have gathered to hear and to do your will, to guide and to sustain. They have heard the voices of the plethora of problems and the cacophony of concerns, and now they have to hear and act and to guide. Make forth their steps with vigor and integrity. Make them serve your will in this world, making forth a greater, stronger state. It says in the sacred Talmud, Imaneli mili, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And if I'm only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? If I am only for myself, then we have failed as a society to see the face of God in another. And if I do not act in a way that builds a better tomorrow, then the now is going to pass us by with a sense of disappointment and despair. May you bless those who serve with a sense of conviction and purpose, intelligence and well-being, to see and to do what is best in all humanity and all those who live in this state. Give them confidence, a chacham lev, a wise and discerning heart, a compassionate soul, and the wisdom to see beyond tomorrow. Amen. 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 Visitors are invited to join members in the Pledge of Allegiance. A quorum being present, the clerk will read the journal of Wednesday, January 8th. Miss People-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, I move to dispense with the further reading of the journal of Wednesday, January the 8th, and that the same stand approved.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, Members, we want to announce the schedule for today. As I see some of our colleagues are joining us in the chambers now, we want to certainly welcome everybody here. The members do have a calendar on their desk, but prior to that, Mr. Speaker, if I could share a significant quote for today. It says that change is the law of life, and those who look only at the past or at the present are certain to miss the future. Mr. Speaker, that is a quote from our 35th President, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. With that, members should be notified that they have on their calendars a desk, a main calendar. I should remind members that this calendar represents those bills that passed the Assembly last year, but not the Senate, as well as those bills that died on the calendar. We will begin our work on this calendar, Mr. Speaker, on next week. Today is our traditional opening day. It is an opportunity for us to hear from our esteemed speaker, myself, as well as our brand new minority leader. So with that as a general outline, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. So good afternoon, members, staff, interns, and guests. Welcome to the New York State Assembly Chamber, the People's House of the New York State Legislature. Before we begin, I'd like to wish you all a healthy and happy New Year. I'd like to thank the Rabbi Matthew Cutler from the Congregation Gates of Heaven for being with us here today. And I'd also like to give a special thank you to the Reverend Naomi Tyler Lloyd, who was the pastor of Trinity Baptist Church from my assembly district in the Bronx. And she continues a wonderful tradition of Trinity Baptist Church from her father. And I know she's always going to be daddy's girl, but the respect that I have from her father is the only reason why I continue to always, when I mention her, I feel the need to mention him as well. And she also brought one of my favorite ladies with her. And she said the only reason why I invited her up to do the opening prayer so I could see her mother, Portia Tyler Lloyd. So I just want to say hello to Mrs. Lloyd as well. And of course, I want to thank my princess, Taylor, for being here with me today. I almost think she would rather have been to school than to be with me here today, but just remember, it was a few short years ago, I actually was holding her in my arms, and look how big she's grown. I'm so proud of her. So I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome to constituents that have traveled from the Bronx to be here with me today. As I've always said, I'm truly blessed to have the support of the best constituents this country has to offer. And of course, welcome to all my colleagues, no matter what side of the aisle you call home. To my colleagues in the majority, we have accomplished much together, and I know working together we will continue to accomplish great things. I'll have more on that in a moment. I'd like to welcome my friend and colleague, the new minority leader, Will Barkley. Congratulations. I look forward to working with you. To my good friends on the other side of the aisle, your input and contributions to the political discourse are important. I'm extremely grateful for our ability to avoid the rancor that we see in the national discourse. Welcome back, and I look forward to a productive legislative session. Last year, so many of the ideas that started many years ago right here in the People's House finally became law. Each of you was sent here to improve the lives of New Yorkers, and last year we truly delivered. It was all of you that crafted legislation and cast your votes. We are the parents of these transformational changes, and I'm confident that in the year ahead, we will deliver once again. I want to congratulate the members, particularly in the majority, for a job well done. I wanted to thank you because these laws started before they became a Twitter theme. No doubt our successes reaffirmed our status as progressive leaders and helped us fulfill our promise to put families first at a critical time for our nation. After many years of advocating for tenants' rights, we delivered the strongest protections for tenants in history so that hardworking New Yorkers can continue to live in the neighborhoods they helped to build. And these new laws are working. In just 6 months, evictions in New York City have dropped about 20%. As states across the nation pass legislation to restrict or eliminate women's access to reproductive health care and autonomy over their bodies, we guaranteed those rights for women by passing the Reproductive Health Act and the Comprehensive Contraceptive Coverage Act. After years of passage in the Assembly, transgender New Yorkers finally have the statutory protections of gender, and our youth will never again be subject to the dangerous and discredited practices of conversion therapy. We know climate change and its consequences are real. Wildfires are ravaging California and Australia. Hurricanes have grown stronger and more devastating, including most recently in the birthplace of my grandparents in the Bahamas. Here in New York, we are taking action. Last year, we passed the New York State Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act to put us on a path to reduce the state's greenhouse gas emissions and ban single-use plastic bags. We will continue to find meaningful ways to address this global crisis. We made the city of New York the first American city to implement congestion pricing, and in doing so, we developed a sustainable revenue stream for the MTA to help keep New Yorkers and our statewide economy moving. While the administration in Washington tears families apart and fights to build walls, we passed the DREAM Act and the Green Light Bill to ensure our friends and neighbors have the resources they need to continue to make meaningful contributions to their communities and our great state. Thoughts and prayers as a response to gun violence are not enough. Here in New York, we passed common sense gun legislation, including the red flag bill and a ban on bump stocks. And we will continue to do what we can. But we can't keep illegal guns out of New York State alone. Federal action is needed and long overdue. By passing the Child Victims Act, we gave survivors of childhood sex abuse an opportunity to seek justice and have their day in court. We brought our antiquated election laws into the 21st century by giving voters a 9-day early voting period and streamlining the registration process because voter participation shouldn't scare us. It's the foundation of our democracy. Last year, we took a major step towards fixing the tilted scales of justice by decriminalizing marijuana. We look forward to working with our colleagues to develop a thoughtful approach towards legalization. For too long, our criminal justice system has allowed those with means to grease the wheels of justice, leaving those without to languish. Last year, we took much-needed steps to reform our broken system by updating our discovery laws and reforming speedy trial provisions. We ended the use of cash bail for lower-level offenses because our criminal justice system must work for everyone, not just those who can afford it. By implementing the system, everyone is treated the same. This removes the potential bias of judges or prosecutors, which could result in defendants being treated unfairly. Along with these changes, we are making sure people get access to critical services. We adopted laws to protect New Yorkers from harassment and discrimination and expanded civil rights protections in schools because, make no mistake, we in the Assembly have no tolerance for hate based on religion, race, gender, sexual orientation, or any other form. The recent wave of anti-Semitic attacks in New York is both horrifying and unacceptable. Now y'all can applaud that. No doubt it was an historic year for New York, and we have a lot to be proud of. But we know that our work is never done. In the year ahead, our commitment to the issues that matter most to New Yorkers will never waver. Yesterday, the governor outlined his agenda for the coming year. Many of the ideas began right here in the Assembly, and I'm encouraged that many of these issues have the potential to become law this session. While the administration in Washington has fought endlessly to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, here in New York, we have worked to get more people insured, and we are succeeding. Earlier this year, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released data revealing New York's insured rate has hit an all-time high of 95%. In the year ahead, we will address the spending imbalance in the Medicaid program while continuing our fight to ensure all New Yorkers have access to high-quality, affordable health care. We will protect our safety net facilities, small and rural hospitals, and centers of community-based care throughout the state. And we will ensure that our seniors and the disabled are able to stay in their homes, in their communities, with dignity, comfort, and respect. Since I became Speaker in 2015, we have increased school aid by more than $6 billion because the Assembly majority has always believed that the best investment in our future is an investment in public education. Let's keep the momentum this year by providing our school districts with the resources they need to allow children to succeed, beginning with pre-K. We know higher education is critical to climbing the economic ladder and ending the cycle of poverty. Since 2015, we have strengthened our commitment to high-quality public education by increasing funding support for opportunity programs by more than 40% to help thousands of students attend college and become the middle class of tomorrow. We will continue to work to ensure that our SUNY and CUNY campuses have world-class infrastructure and facilities to best serve our students. During my annual statewide tour this summer, I visited local shops and businesses in downtowns all over New York. And the common refrain is that our businesses have the goods and services people need, but they need roads and bridges, not only to bring their wares to market, but to access a qualified workforce. We will continue to make strategic investments in infrastructure across the state because successful economies connect workers to jobs and businesses to market. So I will add that since it was put in during our conference, that some of my colleagues wanted to say, fix the roads. I'm sitting next to a rabbi and a pastor. I couldn't use that adjective. But much like we did in our craft beverage industry, we will continue to revitalize our upstate economy with our vast agricultural resources. Over my years as Speaker, I've visited many farms and gained a good understanding of the challenges this industry is facing. Last summer, I learned that New York is considered one of the largest consumer markets for hemp products in the country, attracting processors and manufacturers looking to take advantage of popular hemp products. Over the last 4 years, hemp production has grown from 60 acres to over 20,000 acres, farmed by 480 growers today. This growing industry presents many opportunities for our New York's agricultural industry, and we will look for other ways to support New York farmers. New York must also ensure that every New Yorker gets counted in the 2020 census. Yes, please clap for that. An accurate census count is critical to receiving our fair share of more than $675 billion in federal funds used for schools, hospitals, roads, public works, and other vital programs. In the year ahead, I will work with the Assembly Committee chairs to develop comprehensive legislation to address the critical issues New Yorkers are facing, including poverty, homelessness, and the opioid epidemic. In the wealthiest country in the world, it is unconscionable that so many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Yet the United Way reported that in 2016, 45% of New Yorkers could not afford basic needs such as housing, childcare, food, or transportation. Let me say that again. 45% of New Yorkers could not afford the basic needs such as housing, childcare, food, or transportation. The numbers of New Yorkers who were homeless over a recent 12-month period exceeded 250,000. That is more than the populations of every city in this state except for Buffalo and New York. In New York City, the number of people sleeping each night in municipal shelters is now 59% higher than it was 10 years ago. The number of homeless single adults is 142% higher than it was 10 years ago. And these are just the people that seek and use shelters. It does not include the invisible homeless, people who are forced to stay with family or friends. It is simply unacceptable that safe, affordable housing is out of reach for so many New Yorkers. And we all know the struggles of our brothers and sisters living in NYCHA. And although NYCHA is a federal program in federal housing, we will continue to do our share of what we can do to help our brothers and sisters who live in NYCHA. We look forward to working with the governor, Mayor de Blasio, county executives, and mayors across the state to meet these challenges of affordable housing head on. Research shows that the primary cause of homelessness, particularly among families, is a lack of affordable housing. While homeless single adults are often homeless due to higher rates of serious mental illness, addiction disorders, and other severe health problems. We cannot address these issues in piecemeal fashion. They are all interconnected. It is time once and for all that we put an end to the homeless crisis by keeping people in their homes and making continued investments in supportive housing for those who need it. I see you, Mr. Hevesy. And after giving massive tax breaks to billionaires, billionaires, and corporations, the administration in Washington had the audacity to roll out a plan to eliminate SNAP benefits for nearly 700,000 Americans, with the potential for another 2.3 million to lose their benefits if additional changes are implemented. Here in New York, we recognize that hunger and food insecurity are not the results of laziness. Every single person struggling to put food on the table is facing a unique set of challenges. Some are full-time caregivers for family members. Some lack access to transportation. Ensuring that people have food to eat does not discourage work, it ends hunger. Across the nation, communities are still struggling with the consequences of an opioid epidemic that has taken hundreds of thousands of lives and devastated families and communities. We all know an individual or family that has been devastated by the opioid crisis. In November, the Assembly formed the task force on examining socioeconomic responses to people with substance use disorders to find more holistic approaches to ending this epidemic. I am so proud of the work New York is doing to hold unscrupulous opioid manufacturers accountable. I look forward to finding more ways to bring greater transparency and accountability to the industry while meeting the needs of the communities impacted by their unethical business practices. We have fought to support and fund important initiatives to aid those who struggle with substance use disorders, and we are making some progress. Opioid deaths dropped by 8.7% in 2018 from the previous year, the first decrease we've seen since 2009. While these numbers outpace the national average, until we no longer see our friends, neighbors, and coworkers dealing with a family member caught in a web of addiction or mourning the loss of a loved one to an overdose, we still have much more work to do. Too often, people underestimate the role of government in our everyday lives. Here in the People's House, we are committed to serving as the true, direct voice of the people of New York. I am proud to say that this House has been not only the birthplace of many progressive ideas, but many dedicated public servants. For the last 3 years, the administration in Washington has fought endlessly to roll back the safeguards that protect people. They have tried desperately to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. Women's reproductive rights hang in the balance. Hard-working immigrant families are being torn apart. Environmental protections are disappearing as natural disasters become more devastating and frequent. Under this regressive federal administration, New York will remain as progressive as ever. We will not be idle. Now more than ever, amidst much division and cynicism, we must double down on our commitment to operate an effective government that serves the people. I look forward to building on that commitment in the year ahead. I now invite everyone to join me in extending a warm welcome to our new intern class of 2020. We look forward to having you here with us this year. And who knows, one day you may be sitting down here because we have a room full of former interns who are now sitting legislators. On behalf of all the members, I want to thank Assemblymember Deborah Glick, Chair of the Intern Committee, Kathleen McCarty, our Program Director. Where's Kathleen? And all of the committee staff for their support. Welcome back to our returning faculty members, Dr. Janet Pensker, who leads our graduate interns, Dr. Angela Ledford, Dr. Wesley Nishiyama, and Dr. Anthony Maniscalco, who will lead our undergraduates. My Assembly colleagues, once again, welcome back to Albany for the 243rd legislative session, which Dick Gottfried has been present for each one. I look forward to what we will accomplish in the year ahead. Now let's get to work. Thank you for being here. Miss People-Stokes. You can stay. You want to go back down? We have to do this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for sharing your vision of the upcoming session, as well as thank you for your service and your commitment to leadership in this great state. Your stewardship has been, I think, unparalleled and very much appreciated by your entire membership. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your leadership. I'd also like to congratulate my colleague, Mr. Barclay, on his new ascension to the minority leader. I look forward to working with you. You will find that although it may not look like it, we actually enjoy working together to get things done in the state of New York. So welcome, sir. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to start each session with a quote. And I did start that way today, but I want to start this portion of my comments with a quote from my friend, your friend, all of our friend, our former colleague and former majority leader, Joe Morelli, who said, "Together in hope, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish." Joe Morelli said that. Y'all might remember that. He was sitting right here in this spot when he did say it. So as we embark upon the 243rd legislative session, I would like to remind each of us of the power of working together. After all, we do have more alike than we have difference. We are all created by the same creator. Starting point, right there, we have more alike than we have different. As I look around the chamber, I am awestruck by the diversity that is present here. We are a direct reflection of the entire state of New York. This is the picture of equitable representation for our government. This is how it's supposed to look. This is not a mistake. It may have taken 243 years to get here, but this is how it's supposed to look. We may have taken a different path to arrive where we are today, but the purpose is the same. The purpose is the same. The purpose is to serve the people of the great state of New York. Mr. Speaker, last session was historic. You have laid out all of the accomplishments that we've made, but there is still much more work to be done. The challenges ahead will best be overcome by pushing to find common ground. Now, let's apply that. At first blush, we may not see common ground. At first conversation, we may not see common ground, but assured, if we continue to communicate with each other with an expectation for finding common ground, we will find it. We have found it in the past, we will find it this session, and we will find it in the future. There will be some hard conversations and some difficult decisions that must be made. I implore each of us to strive to learn to disagree without being disagreeable. We are living in a chaotic and a divisive time. Let us be the example of civility. Let us take time to acknowledge our divine uniqueness and work to build consensus on policies that will benefit all New Yorkers. In the words of the great civil rights leader and freedom fighter, Fannie Lou Hamer, never forget where you came from and always praise the bridges that carried us over. Let us be grateful for those bridges that were built for us and remember that we have to lift as we climb. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you to our wonderful Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Barkley.
Oops. Rookie mistake. Happy New Year's, everybody in the house. I think if someone told me a week ago that I'd be standing here addressing this body as a minority leader, I would say you're crazy. There's no possible way, but as we all know in life and in politics, things happen fast sometimes, so here I am. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the courtesies you've shown myself and the conference over the last few days, and as we work through this transition process, I really do appreciate that. It has been a difficult time for all of us. Our former leader, I think we all would agree, put his heart and soul into this job, and the unfortunate circumstances that happened to him, causing his resignation or stepping down from the leadership, frankly, I think it was very hard on him. It's been very hard on his family, and it's been very hard on all of us. So with that being said, though, we need to turn the page. And I know you had a friendly and professional relationship with Brian, and Mr. Speaker, I hope that we can continue that relationship. Crystal, thank you for your kind words. I also want to thank you for the courtesies that you've shown me over the last few days. In the past, maybe we didn't work all that closely together, but certainly under my new position, I think we'll be working very closely together. And I have some very, very good news for you. Mr. Goodell is going to continue on in his position, so you'll be able to work with him.
Mr. Barkley, can you just remind him he must always start with the Constitution says?
Yeah. Interesting, Mr. Speaker. I opened my drawer and there's 10 state constitutions in the bottom of my drawer. But to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I look forward to working with you. Well, we don't agree very much on policy, As the speaker said, and as the majority leader said, there's no reason we can't be respectful of each other. There's no reason that we can't realize that we have differing point of views. And where possible, there's no reason that we can't work together to try to move this great state forward. And last, thanks. And last, but certainly not least, I want to thank my colleagues in the Assembly Republican Conference. The trust that you've placed in me, it's really a true honor. It's a true honor personally and professionally. It makes me incredibly proud to lead this conference. It's made up of so many dedicated men and women who, despite we're outnumbered, we realize that, we know that, but we don't get dispirited, and we're going to continue the hard work and the hard fight that we've done. So cheers and thank you. So, as you know, Mr. Speaker, we're on a condensed schedule this year. I think it's a good thing, but as a result, we have a lot of big issues that we have to address immediately. And I think on this side of the aisle, and I think a lot of New Yorkers would say the first thing that we need to address is bail reform. We've all seen the stories out there. A Hoosick Falls man is accused of using an axe to break the windshield of a female victim's car. While she was inside the car, he was caught and he was released. An Albany man was charged with recklessly choking and stabbing a woman to death last July. He was caught and he was released. In Brooklyn, a woman was arrested twice within days for anti-Semitic attacks, menacing, harassment, and attempted assault charges. This only happened because she was caught and she was released. In Rockland County, a man struck and killed a 35-year-old mother of 3, was unlicensed, and left the scene of the incident. He caught and released. And just this week, you may have seen in the news, just yesterday, a Cohoes man was accused of recklessly causing the death of a 6-year-old baby boy. He was caught and released. Unfortunately, my colleagues, these aren't the only examples. This is what's happening. This isn't fear-mongering, so don't take my word for it. I'm not trying to grind the political axe. Don't take my word necessarily. We need to listen to the people out there, the professionals. We need to listen to law enforcement officials, judges, district attorneys. All have sounded the alarm. And now the Senate Majority Leader, Attorney General, Mayor of New York City, and even the governor have indicated that this law needs to be reformed. These are the facts, my colleagues, and it's incumbent that we act on these facts. So if I may, Mr. Speaker, let me provide some other facts. By all indicators, we are seeing the strongest national economy that we've seen in recent memory. In August of 2019, the national economy had reached the longest economic expansion since 1854. 1854, unemployment has dropped, wages are increasing, and jobs are being created at an incredible rate. And with all this good economic news that we have, it's been great news, we find ourselves in New York State with a $6.1 billion shortfall. This is a fact, my colleagues, Mr. Speaker. These are the facts. And it's also a fact that as a result of this, we're going to have to make some very difficult decisions going forward. And if one thing I can speak for my colleagues in our conference, what we strongly believe on this side of the aisle is that we can't tax our way into financial health. My colleagues, New Yorkers already pay too much, and they've been paying too much for too long. The fact is our state's tax climate rankings are way out of step with the rest of the state. And let me give you some more facts. We're 43rd for real property taxes. We are 43rd for sales taxes. We are 48th for personal income tax. And our overall tax climate is 49th in the country. Only one state's worse than us, 49th in the country. These, my colleagues, these are the facts. We have another financial crisis that stands right in front of our face, but continues to be ignored. New York State's debt is $57 billion and climbing. According to the DOB's own projections, by 2014, total debt will reach more than $66 billion. That's an increase of almost $10 billion. We're the second most indebted state in the country, and our per capita debt is the 5th highest per capita debt in the country. These, my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, these are the facts. Short-sighted financial decisions today will produce a stressed state economy tomorrow, and our youngest citizens will be paying the price. So with those facts in mind, it's no wonder that 77,000 New Yorkers have left New York State in 2019, more than any other state in the Union. That's more than 200 people per day. Look around this room. It's about the equivalent of the amount of people that are packing up, getting in their cars, and leaving New York in their rearview mirrors. To provide a little bit more perspective on that, there are 28 counties in New York State that have 77,000 people or less. And that population's moved out, that would move all the population out of counties like Cortland County, counties like Herkimer County, or Schoharie County. Just a few more facts and I'll wrap it up, Mr. Speaker. We've already lost 1.4 million residents to the rest of the country since 2010. This is the largest of any state. Over 180,000 more residents have moved out of New York State than moved in from other states in the previous 12 months. And since 2010, the national population has increased by roughly 19.5 million. That's nearly 16 times the rate of growth than what New York State has. Now, I don't mention these facts. I don't mention facts about bail reform, facts about the state budget gap, facts about state debt, facts about population loss. I don't do that to be a contrarian. I don't do that to make people feel bad. Rather, I'm doing it to illustrate that we have a problem. We have a problem in New York State, and we need to do better. But Mr. Speaker, saying that, I believe we can do better. I believe we can offer a more affordable, a more safe, and a more prosperous life for the 19 million New Yorkers that we all represent. So, as I said at the beginning of my speech, I stand here, I'm honored and grateful for this opportunity. I'm eager to work with everyone in the House, and I again want to thank the Speaker and the Majority Leader for the courtesies that they've shown me and the professionalism that they have given to this body. But let's get to work, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to address this House.
Ms. Peoples-Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to, first of all, invite my guest, Trevin Martin, who is an advocacy fellow from the Transgender Advocacy Group, to come back on a day where we can spend more time together. Please, Trevor, consider doing that, Mr. Martin. We want to thank you for coming. Mr. Speaker, do we have any further housekeeping or resolutions?
We have a number of resolutions and housekeeping. We will start with, at the request of Ms. Titus, the following bills are recommended back as follows. Ms. Titus, calendar number 1894914 to the Committee on Ways and Means. Ms. Titus, calendar number 229, bill number 6074 to the Committee on Ways and Means. On a motion by Ms. Paulin, page 10, calendar number 36, bill number A714, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Mr. Court, page 16, calendar number 69, bill number A1348A, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Mr. Perry, page 16, calendar number 70, bill number A1360, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Ms. Paulin, page 20, calendar 92, bill number A2157A, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Mr. Santa Barbara, page 43, calendar number 219, bill number A5774A, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Mr. Perry, page 45, calendar number 227, bill A6023, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Ms. Byrne, Page 60, calendar number 313, bill number A8156, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Mr. Santa Barbara, page 60, calendar number 315, bill A8171A, amendments are received and adopted. And a motion by Mr. Santa Barbara, page 60, calendar number 316, bill number 8172A, amendments are received and adopted. And on a motion by Mr. Magnarelli, page 61, calendar number 323, bill number A8302, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Ms. Rozek, page 8, calendar number 27, bill A587A, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Ms. Pfeffer Amato, page 26, calendar number 123, bill number 2902, amendments are received and adopted. On a motion by Ms. Gunther, page 55, calendar number 288, bill number A7699A, amendments are received and adopted. We have no resolutions, Ms. Peoples-Stokes.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Friday, January the 10th, tomorrow being a legislative day, and that we reconvene at 2 p.m. on January the 13th, Monday being a session day.
On a motion by Ms. Peoples-Stokes, the Assembly stands adjourned.